That was the first thing Emily Walker said when I opened my front door at midnight. Not hello. Not sorry for waking you. Just that. Rain ran off her hair and down the collar of her coat. Both of her hands were locked around a brown legal folder, the kind county lawyers use when grief has already been turned into signatures. Behind her, my porch light swung in the wind, and beyond it the road was black enough that I could not see how far she had walked. Grant took my keys, she said before I could ask. That woke me all the way up. Grant Walker had come back to town 3 days after his father was buried, driving a spotless black truck, followed by 2 lawyers, and wearing the look of a man already counting the acres. By supper, he had told half the county the Walker farm was too valuable to stay a farm. By morning, he had already called someone about changing the locks on the barns. The worst part was that he made every sentence sound like responsibility. I stepped aside. Emily came in, dripping on my old pine floor, and laid the folder on my kitchen table like it might bite her. If I'm not married by Friday at noon, she said, Grant becomes executor. He can sell the cattle, lease the fields, and push me out before probate is even finished. The kettle on my stove clicked softly as it cooled. I looked at the papers, then at the woman standing across from me, trying to look brave and failing in the most honest way I had ever seen. Emily, I said, marriage is not a fence you patch before the rain. I know. Then why me? Her mouth trembled once before she stopped it. Because my father left your name in a letter. Then she opened the folder, and that was when I saw the page she had hidden under the others, the one her father had signed 2 weeks before he died, with my name written in the margin beside one sentence. If she needs a husband, find a man who understands land before money. For a while, neither one of us moved. Rain tapped from Emily's sleeves onto the floorboards. My old kitchen clock ticked above the sink. The beans on my plate had gone cold, and the mug beside them still held coffee I had forgotten to finish before the pounding started. I touched the edge of David Walker's letter but did not pick it up. Does Grant know about this? Emily shook her head. Too fast. I leaned back. That was not a hard question. Her fingers pressed the folder flat. He knows there was a letter. He does not know what it says. That is a different answer. I know. The shame in her face came before the tears. That was what made me listen. People who lie for comfort usually get angry when you catch the corner of it. Emily looked like she had been carrying the corner in both hands all the way through the rain. I walked to the stove and turned off a burner that was already off. My hands needed work when my head did not know where to go. How did Grant take your keys? I pulled a towel from the laundry chair and handed it to her. You walked here from the road? Almost 2 miles. In this weather, I did not know who else to ask. That sentence did more damage than the marriage proposal. I knew Emily, but not close. A wave from the truck, a polite word at the feed store. Her father had been the real tie between our places. David Walker had helped my dad mend fence when I was a kid, and after my parents were gone, he kept checking on me without ever calling it charity. A sack of seed left by the shed, a spare part he claimed he had ordered by mistake, a hand on a gate after a storm. I owed David more than one late-night kindness. That did not mean I owed his daughter a marriage. I sat across from her. What exactly are you asking? A courthouse marriage, she said. Legal. Quiet. No wedding. No pretending more than we have to. The condition says I have to be married before Friday at noon. It does not say I have to make everyone believe a love story. That is lawyer talk. That is survival talk. The steel in her voice surprised me. It seemed to surprise her too. Then it faded. I am asking you to put your name on a life you did not choose, so my brother cannot sell mine. That was the first clean sentence she had given me. The folder sat between us like a third person at the table. I should have said no. I had my own farm barely holding together, a tractor that hated cold mornings, and a bank notice folded in the glove box of my truck. A smart man would have driven her to the sheriff's office, called her lawyer at 8, and stayed on his side of the fence. But David Walker's handwriting was on my table, and Grant had her keys. If I say yes, I said, there is one rule. Emily sat straighter. Anything. No, do not say that unless you mean it. She closed her mouth. No lies between us, I said. Not in this house. Not at this table. Outside, people can misunderstand what they want. Grant can call it whatever he wants. But if my name goes beside yours, I do not find out the truth from a lawyer, a neighbor, or your brother. Her eyes flicked to the folder. Small. Quick. But I saw it. Emily. She looked back at me. What else is in there? For a second, The rain seemed to get louder. Then she pulled the folder closer to herself. "Estate papers," she said. "And bank records. And—" her voice thinned. "A temporary authorization I signed after Dad died." The words meant nothing at first. Then they meant too much. "For Grant?" She did not answer. That was answer enough. I pushed back from the table. The chair legs scraped the floor. "You came here asking me for a clean lie," I said, while hiding a dirty one. Her eyes filled, but she did not look away. "He said it was only for payroll and funeral expenses," she whispered. "He said if I did not sign, the workers would not get paid." "And you believed him?" I wanted to. There it was. Not innocence. Not malice. Fear. I turned toward the window. My reflection stared back from the black glass, tired and older than I felt. Behind me, Emily sat under the kitchen light with the brown folder open and her father's letter still visible beside my name. I had made one rule before I even agreed. She had already broken it before I said yes. But by Friday, Grant would have the farm. I faced her again. "We go to Callahan in the morning," I said. Hope crossed her face, and I cut it off before it could settle. "That does not mean yes. It means every page in that folder goes on this table before I decide whether my name goes anywhere." She nodded once. "And Emily?" "Yes? If there is one more thing hidden under the others, you walk back out that door before sunrise." She looked at the rain-dark window, then at me. "Then I better start with the worst page first," she said, and she opened the folder wider. By 2 a.m, the worst page had a coffee mug holding down one corner. Emily had signed it 9 days after her father died. Temporary authorization, the top said. It gave Grant permission to access payroll accounts, approve operating expenses, and represent the estate in urgent farm business until probate review. The paper was not evil by itself. That was how dangerous it was. A clean-looking document could do more harm than a shouted threat if the wrong man held it. Emily sat with both hands wrapped around the towel I had given her. Her hair was still damp, but she had stopped shaking. Shame had settled into something heavier now. It sat in her shoulders and made her look younger than 24. "He brought it to the funeral home," she said. I had not slept. People kept asking me where the feed checks were, whether Dad had paid the vet, what to do about the hay contract. Grant said I was letting everyone down. "And you signed?" "Yes." My jaw worked once. I wanted the simple comfort of anger. Anger made other people easy to judge, but there was nothing simple about a daughter burying her father, while men with clipboards asked for decisions. I turned the page. Grant's signature was neat. Emily's was uneven. "Did David know you had signed this?" "No." He was already gone. The kitchen clock moved toward 3. The rain had softened, but water kept dropping from the porch roof in slow, steady taps. Emily's folder had emptied across my table. Will. Letter. Authorization. Farm invoices. A copy of the death certificate. 2 emails from Mr. Callahan asking her to come in before Friday. The only thing missing was a good choice. I stood because sitting made the decision feel too close. My farm lay on the other side of the dark windows, waiting with all the problems I had left outside. A broken hinge on the lower gate. A calf that still needed watching. A tractor battery that would probably not turn over in the morning. And in the glove box of my truck, folded behind the registration, a bank notice I had not answered yet. Emily was not the only one with paper that could change a life. My father used to spread bills across this same table and make jokes he was too tired to land. After he died, my mother kept the farm going until grief took the strength out of her hands. By 19, I had learned which suppliers would wait, which bankers smiled while tightening a rope, and how to say, "I'm fine," so convincingly that decent people stopped asking. David Walker had not stopped. He would show up without pity. A post-hole digger in his truck. A bag of feed he claimed he had overordered. Once, after a storm put 3 of my cattle through a fence, he worked beside me 6 hours in freezing rain and only said, "Next time, call before you're bleeding." I never did. That was my problem. I let people help, only after the damage was visible. Emily watched me from the table. "You are thinking of saying yes because of my father. I am thinking of saying no because of you." She flinched, but she took it. "You hid the authorization," I said. "I did." "Why?" "Because I thought if you saw it first, you would decide I had already handed Grant the farm." "Did you?" "I handed him a door," she said. "Not the farm, but I was too scared to admit there was a door." The answer stayed in the kitchen longer than either of us wanted it to. I picked up David's letter again. His handwriting had always looked like fence wire. Straight, practical, made to hold. Jake Harper is the one neighbor who will understand what the land means. A dead man had put trust on my table. His daughter had put a complication beside it. Outside, a truck passed far off on the county road, tires whispering through water. Emily's eyes moved toward the sound. She was still listening for Grant, even here. "Spare room is at the end of the hall," I said. She blinked. "What? You are not walking back in this rain. You can sleep a few hours. At 7, we go see Callahan." Her mouth opened, but no thank you came out. She seemed to catch it before it escaped. Instead, she gathered the papers carefully. All except David's letter. "You should keep that one," she said. "No." I slid it back across the table. "If this is your fight, do not start by giving me the thing that makes it feel mine." Her fingers rested on the letter. "I thought that was why I came." "No. You came because Grant cornered you. Those are not the same." She studied me then, not the way people studied a man they wanted something from, but the way a tired person studies a locked door and realizes it may not open the usual way. "You do that a lot," she said softly. "What?" "Make help sound like a fence. Something with posts and rules." I almost smiled. "Fences work. They also keep things out." The sentence should not have landed. It did. I walked to the sink and rinsed the mug that had not been used. The water ran brown from old pipes before clearing. "Get some sleep, Emily." She stood slowly, took the folder against her chest, and followed me to the hallway. At the spare room door, she stopped. "I won't lie to you again." I kept my hand on the doorknob. "Do not promise that because you are scared." "I am scared. I know." She swallowed. "I won't lie because you are the first person tonight who did not tell me to calm down." There was nothing romantic in the way she said it. No softness meant to pull me closer. Just a fact laid bare in a narrow hallway at 3 in the morning. I gave her the room and went back to the kitchen. Legal pages had left faint damp marks in the wood. I wiped them with a dish towel, then stopped when I found one corner of paper still on the chair. A copy of the authorization. Emily had missed it. Or she had left it. I set it beside the folder of my own bills, and the two piles looked too much alike for comfort. At dawn, I found her already dressed, standing by the back window with one of my mother's quilts folded over her arm. "You did not have to fold that." I needed something to do. The line was too familiar. I had lived most of my adult life needing something to do. We drove to Mr. Callahan's office without music. Emily held the brown folder on her lap. I kept both hands on the wheel, knuckles still cut from working on the water line the day before. At the first stop sign, she reached toward the dashboard, then paused. "What?" "Your glove box is open." I glanced over. The bank notice had slid halfway out with the registration. Emily saw enough. She looked away before I could close it. Most people would have pretended harder. She did not ask if I was in trouble. She did not offer money she did not have. She did not turn my weakness into a tool. She only said, "So you know what it feels like when papers start talking louder than people." The light changed. I drove on. For the first time since midnight, I wondered if David Walker had named me because I understood land, or because he understood me. Mr. Callahan's office sat above the bank, and every step up the narrow stairs made Emily's folder feel heavier in my mind. She carried it against her ribs. I stayed one step behind her, not to guard her, to make sure she reached the door first. If this was her fight, her hand had to open it. "You can still leave," she said outside the frosted glass. "Can you?" Her mouth tightened. "No." "Then open the door." She did. The office smelled like old carpet, printer ink, and coffee, left too long on a burner. A young woman at the front desk glanced up from a stack of files. Her nameplate said Nora Bell. She had one hand on a pile of printouts, and the other on a closed manila envelope, which she slid under the counter a little too quickly when she saw Emily. "Miss Walker," she said carefully. "Mr. Callahan is expecting you." Emily nodded. "This is Jake Harper." Nora knew my name. Around here, a man could keep to himself for years and still have strangers know which land he was close to losing. She did not mention it, but her eyes moved once toward the envelope she had hidden. "Go on in." Before she opened the inner door, Nora lowered her voice. "There was more in the chain Mr. Walker sent yesterday. Mr. Callahan has the email, but not every attachment. I am not sure I was supposed to see the last one." Then she stepped back, as if even that sentence could cost her. Mr. Callahan stood when we entered. He was older than I remembered, with wire glasses and a tie knotted by habit. David Walker's lawyer had the kind of face that belonged on county records and funeral guest books. "Emily," he said. "Mr. Harper." He did not ask why I was there. That told me David had made my name less of a surprise than Emily had. Callahan sat and folded his hands. "I need to be clear. I represent the estate, not Grant, not you personally." "I understand," Emily said. Her voice held. Her fingers did not. She opened the brown folder on his desk. "Will first, letter second, authorization third." The worst page was no longer hidden, but it still changed the air when she pulled it out. "I signed this," she said. "I need to know what it allowed Grant to do." Callahan removed his glasses. That small gesture said enough. "When did he bring this to you?" "At the funeral home. 9 days after Dad died." "Was an attorney present?" "No." "Did he explain the full scope?" "He said it was for payroll and funeral expenses." Callahan tapped one paragraph with his pen. "Payroll is one thing. This clause is broader." Emily leaned forward. "How broad?" Grant could argue he had temporary authority over urgent estate business. Changing barn locks? Possibly. Selling cattle? If he claimed it preserved estate value. Her face went pale. I kept my hands on my knees. The chair under me had a loose screw, and every shift made it complain. I did not want my anger to become the loudest thing in a room where Emily needed facts. Callahan opened a drawer and removed a thin file. "I received something yesterday," he said. "I plan to discuss it with you today." He slid a printed email across the desk. Grant Walker had written to Callahan at 4:12 p.m. the day before. Subject: Preliminary Asset Stabilization. Emily read the first line and stopped breathing right. I read over her shoulder. "Mr. Callahan, I know how ugly this looks so soon after Dad's passing, but the operation is bleeding value by the day. In light of Emily's emotional instability and lack of immediate marital protection under the estate terms, I am requesting confirmation that temporary authority permits preliminary discussions with agricultural buyers, livestock brokers, and land use consultants before Friday's deadline." There it was. Not grief. Not concern. A sale being dressed as responsible grief. "He called me unstable," Emily said. "Not directly," Callahan answered. "He did." The old lawyer did not argue. She kept reading. "Grant called the cattle operation financially inefficient, the south pasture better suited for residential transition, and Emily's attachment to the farm romantic rather than practical." That line hurt her more than the legal words. Her father had left her mud, fences, cattle, debt, and history. Grant had reduced all of it to attachment. A knock came at the door before anyone spoke. Nora stepped in with another page. "Sorry. This was attached to the same chain," she said. The title looked relevant. "There is another file name after it, but I have not printed that one yet." Callahan took it. Nora did not leave. He noticed. "Thank you, Nora." She lowered her voice. "Mr. Walker called twice yesterday asking whether you had shown that email to Emily." Emily turned toward her. "He asked that?" "Yes." "Did he sound worried?" Nora hesitated. "He sounded angry that you had not panicked yet." Her eyes flicked toward the front desk, toward the place where the envelope had disappeared. Fear moved there too. Whatever else Nora had seen, she was not ready to put her name beside it. Callahan cleared his throat, but he did not correct her. After Nora left, he handed Emily the new page. It was a letter of intent from Prairie Ridge Development, non-binding, preliminary, full of soft words that could still cut a family apart. The date at the top was 3 weeks before David Walker died. Emily's breath broke once. Dad was still alive. "Yes," Callahan said. "Grant told me he came back because Dad died." Nobody softened it. Some pain should land in its true shape, or the person hurt by it starts apologizing for being wounded. Emily set the letter of intent on the desk with both hands. "He was already selling it while Dad was sick. Exploring a sale," Callahan said. She turned to him. "Do not make his words cleaner for me." Callahan's mouth closed. I almost spoke, but Emily did not need me to fill the room. She needed the room to hear her. She slid the letter into the folder. "Not underneath. On top." "What do I do?" she asked. Callahan opened another file. "Your father left supplemental instructions. They do not override the will, but they clarify intent. If Grant attempted to liquidate or transition the farm before lawful transfer, David wanted that considered evidence of bad faith." Emily's eyes sharpened through the hurt. "You knew that?" I knew the instruction existed. I did not have evidence until now. He tapped Grant's email. Now we have a beginning. A beginning is not enough, I said. No, Callahan agreed. But it changes the question. Emily rested her palm on the folder. From what to what? From whether you married in time, he said, to whether Grant has been trying to make sure you never had a fair chance. The office printer clicked outside. Downstairs, the bank door opened, letting street voices drift up the stairs. Callahan gathered the pages. Grant will not respond well to this. He already took my keys, Emily said. Then next time, he may try to take something people can be convinced you were never fit to keep. On the stairs, Emily gripped the railing. What does that mean? I had a few guesses. The worst one came first. If he cannot take the farm from your hands, I said, he will make people doubt your hands should hold it. At the bottom of the stairs, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. The message held one line. Ask Harper how much he owes the bank before you make him your husband. Emily saw my face change before I could hide it. Right there. Emily read the text before I could turn the screen away. She did not have to ask who had sent it. Her face did not change. That was worse than a question. So she held still. I locked the phone and put it in my coat pocket. Jake, she said. Not on the stairs. Callahan's office door opened above us. Nora stepped out with a folder against her chest, then stopped when she saw us standing halfway between the lawyer and the bank lobby below. You both all right? She asked. No, Emily said. It was the first answer she gave that morning without cleaning it up. Nora glanced down the stairs. Her mouth tightened. Grant is in the bank lobby. My hand went to the railing. Emily closed her eyes once, then opened them. Of course he is. We should have gone out the back. Callahan probably had a rear stairwell. A safer man would have asked for it. A quieter man would have waited 10 minutes and let Grant have his little stage without an audience. I had been that quieter man most of my life. But Grant had picked the bank lobby for a reason. People were already there. Marlene Price stood near the deposit counter with a canvas bag under one arm. Ray Collins had his cap in his hands and mud on his boots. Mr. Dutton, the bank manager, stood beside Grant with a face carved from old soap. Two co-op men pretended not to listen. Grant turned as soon as we reached the bottom step. He smiled like he had not just sent a stranger to put my debt in Emily's hands. There she is, he said. My sister and her financial advisor. Emily kept walking. Grant moved half a step into her path, not enough to block her, just enough to make everyone watch whether she would move around him. Give me my keys, she said. He reached into his coat pocket and held them up. The Walker key ring hung from his finger. Barn keys, truck key, office key. A small brass tag with David's old cattle brand stamped into it. Emily's eyes fixed on the tag. Grant noticed. You left these with me when you were upset. You took them. His smile sharpened. Emily, words matter. There it was. The warning under the concern. Marlene lowered her canvas bag. Ray's cap twisted in his hands. Grant turned slightly, letting the lobby become his jury. I took them because my sister was unstable, grieving, and about to make decisions she could not undo. The word landed exactly where he aimed it. Unstable. Emily's face went pale, but she did not step back. My first instinct was to move in front of her. Old habit. Take the hit, absorb the heat, let people hate me instead. My boot shifted before I caught myself. Emily noticed. So did Grant. He gave me a pleased little look. And now we have Mr. Harper, who apparently wants to help. Very noble. Do not talk about him, Emily said. Grant lifted both hands. I am trying to protect what Dad built. You think I want strangers measuring those fields? No. I want the estate stable before panic ruins the value of everything he left. No. You are trying to manage who hears what. A murmur moved near the counter. Good. She had not shouted. She had not cried. She had made a statement plain enough for witnesses. Grant adjusted his cuffs. Then let everyone hear the practical question. Are you telling these people you intend to marry Jake Harper before Friday? Marlene's eyes jumped to me. Ray stopped moving. Mr. Dutton's face did not change, but he listened harder. Emily's hand tightened around the brown folder. My personal life is not lobby business. It becomes business when a farm, an estate, and creditors are involved. There it was again. Not a lie. A poisoned truth. I had creditors. Everyone in that lobby knew enough to fill in the rest. Grant turned to Mr. Dutton. I am not calling Mr. Harper a villain. But would you allow a man with outstanding farm debt to marry into operational control of another property without asking what pressure is doing to everyone in the room? Mr. Dutton cleared his throat. This is not the place for that discussion. It is a necessary one. Emily stepped forward. Jake's finances are not yours to use, and your judgment is exactly the issue. The trap snapped shut. If she defended me too hard, she looked emotional. If she stayed quiet, my debt became evidence. I felt the old apology rise in my throat. I could explain. I could tell Dutton my payment was late, not defaulted. Tell Ray I had not asked Emily for $1. Make myself the villain, and spare her the look. My mouth opened. Emily's fingers brushed my sleeve. Not a grip. A warning. Do not trade yourself to save me. I closed my mouth. Grant saw the exchange and smiled wider. Touching, he said. But this is what manipulation looks like. A grieving woman, a desperate neighbor, a convenient deadline. The lobby changed without noise. People began arranging the story in their minds. Marlene looked at Emily with pity. Ray looked between us and the keys. One of the co-op men shifted like he wished he had chosen another morning to deposit a check. Emily did not raise her voice. She turned his sentence back at him. No. This is what pressure looks like when it learns to sound noble. A grieving woman, a desperate neighbor, a convenient deadline. Then she held out her hand. My keys. Grant let them dangle a second longer than necessary. You are making a mistake. No, she said. I made one when I signed your authorization. That struck him. His smile arrived late. You want to do this here? You brought it here. Callahan's voice came from the stairs behind us. Mr. Walker, return the keys. Grant did not look at him. He looked at Emily. For the first time that morning, his concern cracked into irritation. You are embarrassing yourself. Emily's hand stayed open. Grant dropped the keys into her palm. They hit hard enough to jingle. She closed her fingers around them, but the victory did not feel like a victory. Everyone had heard too much, and not enough of it had been clean. Grant stepped closer, lowering his voice just enough to pretend it was private. You marry him, and I will request an emergency review. I will show Callahan the authorization. I will show the bank his debt. I will show the county exactly how fast you let a broke man into Dad's estate. I moved then, not in front of Emily. Beside her. You do that, I said. And bring the development letter too. Grant's eyes flicked to the folder. There. Fear. Gone almost before it arrived. Emily saw it. Callahan saw it. Maybe Nora did from halfway up the stairs. But Ray and Marlene did not know what the look meant. To them, it was only another tense second, in a lobby already full of too many versions. Grant recovered. Careful, Harper. You are not family yet. No, I said. But I am a witness. The word made the lobby colder. Grant looked around, measuring what had been lost and what could still be turned. Then he smiled at Emily, like a man setting down a knife where everyone could see the handle, not the blade. By Friday, he said, everyone will know what kind of husband you had to buy. He walked out through the bank doors. The keys shook once in Emily's hand. Ray stepped forward, then stopped. Marlene looked down at her canvas bag. Mr. Dutton turned toward his office without meeting my eyes. No one accused us. No one defended us. That was the wound. Outside, Grant's black truck started with a clean, expensive growl. Emily opened her folder and slid the keys inside beside the letter of intent. Her hands were steady now. Her voice was not. Jake, she said, how much do you owe the bank? The question did not hurt because she asked it. It hurt because the whole lobby had made sure she had to. We did not talk in the bank parking lot. That kind of question did not belong between trucks and glass doors, with Grant's tire tracks still wet on the pavement and half the town pretending they had not heard enough to repeat by supper. Emily got into my pickup with the brown folder on her lap. I started the engine. The heater came on too hard, blowing dust and old hay smell through the vents. Emily turned the folder once on her knees, then stopped touching it. At the first stop sign, she said, I should not have asked you there. No, I am sorry. Do not apologize just to make the air easier. She closed her mouth. Good. I drove past the feed store, the pharmacy, the diner with 3 trucks out front. Any one of those places would be full of our names within the hour. Emily Walker, Jake Harper, marriage, debt, farm, fraud. Short words for complicated damage. The road out of town opened into wet fields. My parents took out a second loan the year before my mother got sick, I said. Then medical bills. Then 2 bad seasons. I kept refinancing because selling a pasture felt like cutting off a limb to prove I could still stand. Emily did not interrupt. The bank notice you saw was not foreclosure. Not yet. But it is close enough that Grant can make it sound worse without lying much. Her hands tightened around the folder. How much? I gave her the number. We did not talk in the bank parking lot. That kind of question did not belong between trucks and glass doors. With Grant's tire tracks still wet on the pavement and half the town already shaping our names into supper table gossip. Emily breathed in slowly. Not with shock, with calculation. That almost made me laugh, except nothing about it was funny. I cannot pay that, she said. I did not ask you to. I know. I mean, if Grant tells people I brought you in because you needed money, I cannot even disprove it by offering to fix it. Emily, I am not marrying your farm. I know. Do you? She turned toward me. Yes. I pulled into my drive and parked beside the barn instead of the house. Rainwater still dripped from the roofline. A barn cat shot across the gravel and disappeared under the feed room steps. You keep saying yes before you have earned the word, I said. Her face folded around the hurt, but she did not argue. I filled the kettle and set it on the stove. My mother used to make tea when the house had no answers. It gave your hands a job until your mouth could tell the truth. Emily took off her coat and hung it on the chair instead of the hook. Her fingers were not steady. You want the truth? She asked. I asked for it before sunrise. I did worse than sign the authorization. The kettle had not started yet, but I turned the burner lower anyway. She opened the brown folder and took out a folded sheet I had not seen at Callahan's office. Not a legal form, a copy of a note, her handwriting. I wrote this for Grant, she said, the day after the funeral. I did not take it. So she read it herself. Grant, I know I am not thinking clearly. If something urgent comes up with the farm, please help me make the practical decision. Her voice went rough on the last 2 words. Practical decision, I repeated. He told me Dad would have wanted me to be realistic. I thought I was being responsible by admitting I was overwhelmed, and he kept it. Yes, to show people. You knew you were not capable. Yes. A gust pressed rain against the kitchen window. Emily folded the note along the same crease, too carefully. I did not tell you because it made me look weak, she said, and because it made Grant's version easier to believe. You let me walk into that lobby without knowing he had more than debt to use. Her eyes shone. Yes. She set the note on the table between us. I am not clean in this, Jake. I handed him words. I handed him authority. Then I came here and asked you to stand beside me like none of that was already burning behind us. The kettle began to whisper. I took 2 mugs from the cabinet. One had a crack near the handle. I gave myself that one without thinking. Emily noticed. You always keep the damaged one. It still holds. That is not the same as being fine. My hand paused over the tea tin. I poured hot water into both mugs and pushed one toward her. No sugar. She had not taken any last night. She wrapped both hands around it. The kitchen softened around her too easily. She looked tired, honest, and close enough that I remembered her hand brushing my sleeve in the lobby, stopping me from trading myself away. I should leave, she said. Where? My house. Grant has men looking at your locks. Then a motel. With what car? Her laugh broke once, without humor. So I am trapped here. No. I set my mug down. You are safe here for tonight. That is different. Her eyes lifted. The space between us shrank in a way neither paper nor law could explain. I wanted to step closer, because we were both tired of standing alone, and that was exactly why I did not. Emily's fingers loosened around the mug. Jake. No. The word came out quiet. She flinched anyway. I hated that. So I made it gentler. Not softer. Not tonight. Her eyes lowered to the table. If anything happens between us, I said, it cannot start because Grant cornered you and the bank cornered me. I know. This time, earn the yes. She nodded. A tear fell, but she wiped it away before it reached her chin. I do not want to be your hiding place in public and your burden in private, she said. You are not my burden. Then do not make me your proof that you do not need anyone. That landed harder than I wanted it to. Emily picked up the note she had written to Grant and placed it on top of the folder beside the development letter. Not hidden. Not excused. I will show Callahan, she said, before Grant does. That will hurt. Yes. And people may believe him for a while. Her hand stayed on the paper. Then I will have to survive being believed wrong. I took my coat from the chair. Where are you going? To check the calf. It is raining. Cattle do not care. She stood. I will come. I almost told her no. Then I remembered the lobby. Her fingers on my sleeve. The way she had stopped me from turning myself into a shield. Boots by the back door, I said. Emily put the folder in the center of the table before she followed me. For once, she did not carry it like armor. The calf was standing when we reached the barn. That was the good news. The bad news was he had wedged himself near the broken panel again, shivering under the weak yellow light while rain pushed through the siding. I handed Emily a feed bucket before she could ask what to do. Stay by the gate, I said. If he bolts, do not chase. Just make yourself a wall. A wall? A calm one. Her mouth twitched. I will try not to be an unstable wall. The joke came too soon, but pain that could move was better than pain stuck in the throat. For 20 minutes, we worked without touching anything but rope, feed, and wet wood. I fixed the latch. Emily kept the calf angled away from the gap, boots sliding in old straw, hair coming loose from its tie. Once, the animal shoved toward her, and she planted both feet instead of jumping back. Good, I said. She did not smile. She was too busy holding her ground. By morning, the farm had found a way to make private truth practical. Ray called while we were washing mud off our hands at my sink. Fuel delivery got held, he said. Driver says the Walker account is under review. Emily took the phone. Under review by who? Ray's voice changed when he heard her. Office said there's a dispute about authorization. I tried calling Grant, but do not call Grant. Abhause. Yes, ma'am. Those 2 words should have helped. Instead, they showed the size of the problem. Cattle still needed feed. A farm did not pause because a family was bleeding in legal language. Emily ended the call and gripped the counter. This is because of the paper I signed. It is because Grant is using it. I opened the door. Yes. I did not soften it. She nodded like she accepted the bruise, because it was true. At 8:30, Callahan called. I put him on speaker at Emily's request. The brown folder sat open on my kitchen table again, with her note to Grant on top beside the development letter. Grant has requested an emergency review, Callahan said. He claims Emily's intended marriage may be fraudulent and financially motivated. Emily's eyes moved to me. I kept my hands flat on the table. He is also questioning whether Mr. Harper has a financial interest in Walker Farm assets. He sent that text, Emily said. I assumed as much. What changes now? Practically, a great deal. Until I respond, the estate operating account may require dual approval. Fuel, feed, equipment payments, payroll, all of it could slow down. Emily closed her eyes once. Not to hide. To count the cost. And the marriage? I asked. It still satisfies the written condition if completed before Friday at noon, Callahan said. But Grant can make the next stage uglier. Then we make one lie harder for him, Emily said. How? She reached for a pen. Jake signed something before the marriage. No claim to Walker land. No access to estate accounts. No payment from me. No debt transfer. I turned toward her. That protects you, she said. I looked at the speaker. It also tells everyone this marriage is a legal shield, not a sale. Her face changed. You are right. Callahan was quiet on the phone. Emily pushed the pen aside. I keep trying to make something false behave properly, and every time I touch it, it leaves a mark. No one rescued that sentence. Then she leaned toward the speaker. Draft it anyway. If Jake agrees, I want it clear he receives nothing. Her voice steadied around the ugly truth. Emily did not look at me. My father trusted him, and I needed time to stand before Grant sold the floor under me. That was honest. Not pretty. Good. After the call ended, the kitchen felt smaller than it had at midnight. Emily gathered the papers, then stopped. If you want out, this is where you should say it. I rinsed mud from my knuckles. The water ran cold because the old heater took its time. You keep offering me the door after I have already seen the road. You saw the text. You know what Grant will do with your debt. I knew what debt could do before Grant learned my name. She came closer but kept space between us. I will not let you marry me to repay my father. I am not. And not because you feel guilty that I walked through the rain. No. And not because being useful is the only way you know how to stay. The faucet kept running over clean hands. Emily reached past me and turned it off. A small act. Careful. Not intimate enough to cross the line, but close enough to show she saw it. If we do this, she said, I need one more rule. Say it. You do not become my shield every time Grant raises his voice. If I freeze, remind me. Stand beside me. But do not make the room look at you because you are better at being disliked. My jaw tightened. And your rule? She asked. You do not use this marriage as a hiding place. If you are scared, say scared. If you made a mistake, say mistake. If you want me beside you, ask. But no more deciding alone and handing me the moral bill afterward. All right. And if anything ever happens between us, it does not start in this wreckage. Not because Grant cornered you. Not because the town humiliated us. Not because my house feels safer than yours. Her voice lowered. Then when the farm is not the only thing asking. She looked down at the folder, at the bent corner of her father's letter, at the note she had written to Grant. Ask me tomorrow, she said. Tomorrow is still before Friday. Then ask me after. At noon, we drove back to town to sign Callahan's affidavit. No payment, no claim, no estate access, no transfer of debt, no financial benefit to Jake Harper through marriage to Emily Walker. My name looked strange under all those denials. Emily signed after me. Her signature was steadier than it had been on Grant's authorization. The same denials looked different beneath her name. Not weakness, but a line Grant could not blur. This will not stop, Grant, he said. No, Emily answered. But it stops one lie. On the way out, we passed the courthouse clerk's office. The marriage license window was 10 feet away. Neither of us moved toward it at first. Then Emily took the keys from the folder, found the brass tag with her father's cattle brand, and closed her fist around it. I am still scared, she said. I know. But I am not signing because I am cornered. I waited. I am signing because I want my chance to fight him standing up. That was the first reason I could respect. So I opened the courthouse door. Not for a bride. For a woman walking toward the cost of her own choice. The courthouse marriage took 8 minutes. A clerk asked for our names. A tired judge read words too large for the small room. Emily's hand was cold in mine, but it did not shake. No flowers, no music, no family waiting with wet eyes. Only the brown folder on a wooden bench, my signature drying beside hers, and the strange weight of a promise that no longer fit neatly inside a deadline. When it was done, Emily did not smile like a bride. She folded the license into the folder and said, Now he cannot say I missed the condition. No, I said. Now he has to say something worse. She knew I was right. By the time we reached the Walker farm, Grant already had. Ray met us outside the main barn with Luis and Dale Pritchard behind him. Luis handled morning feed. Dale never liked being told what to do by anyone younger than him. Ray held his cap in both hands, and I knew the news was bad. Emily stepped out of the truck first. What happened? Ray glanced at me, then corrected himself and faced her. We got an email. From Grant? From his lawyer. Emily's mouth tightened. Read it. Ray pulled a folded paper from his coat pocket. Rain had softened the creases. Pending emergency review of estate control, payroll authorization is disputed. Continued work may be performed at personal risk until lawful management is clarified. Dale muttered, I got a family. I cannot work at personal risk. Emily took the paper, her thumb pressed into the wet ink. I understand, she said. The words cost her. Luis shifted near the barn door. Ma'am, we are not saying we quit. Dale gave him a look. Speak for yourself. Ray's face reddened. Grant also called Marlene. Feed store will not extend credit until Callahan clears the account. A cow bawled from inside the barn, long and low. The marriage license had closed one door. Grant had opened 5 more. We have feed for today? She asked. Today, yes, Ray said. Tomorrow gets thin. Emily nodded. Then today we work. Dale laughed under his breath. Quiet, petty, and just enough. Work for who? I felt my body move before I chose it. Half a step. Old habit again. Make them look at me. Make myself the easier target. Turn Emily's fight into my weather. Her hand caught my wrist. Not hard. Enough. She did not look at me when she spoke. For me, she said, if you cannot work under disputed payroll, I understand. Leave your hours with Ray. I will make sure you are paid for every minute already worked. Dale's eyebrows rose. With what account? With the one my brother is trying to freeze because he cannot win clean. Ray's eyes flicked toward the road. A white county envelope was taped to the barn office door. No one had mentioned it yet. Emily walked to it, pulled it free, and opened it with a finger under the seal. I watched her read. Her face did not collapse. That scared me more than if it had. "Emergency review hearing," she said. "Tomorrow morning." Ray swore softly. Dale crossed his arms. "About the marriage?" "About whether I am fit to control the estate," Emily said. "And whether Jake has exerted financial influence over me." The words hung in the wet air. Financial influence. A cleaner phrase than bought husband. A dirtier wound. Luis looked at me differently then. Not with hatred. With calculation. The same look men gave a bull they had been told might turn mean. My phone buzzed. Then Ray's. Then Emily's. Around us, 3 screens lit at once. Marlene had posted in the county community group, "Pray for the Walker family." Hard to watch grief and pressure push a young woman into choices she may not understand. Some men know when a woman is vulnerable. No name is. She did not need them. Dale read it over Ray's shoulder and gave a low whistle. Emily's hand dropped to her side. That one hurt more than Grant's legal paper. Marlene had known her since she was 6 years old, had sold David Walker feed on credit, had watched Emily grow from candy at the counter to mineral blocks for cattle. Now she had turned concern into a public knife. "I will call her," Emily said. "No," I said. She turned on me. The word had come too sharp. I steadied it. "Not while you are bleeding. She is lying. She is implying. That is worse. If you answer angry, she gets proof." Emily looked back at the post. Her thumb hovered over the screen. I knew that hover. I had done it with banks, suppliers, and men who waited for me to prove I was as desperate as they needed. Her hand lowered. Then mine rose. I opened a message to Grant. "You win. Leave her alone. I'll undo it." The sentence sat there, bright and stupid. I had not meant to type it. Or maybe I had. Emily saw the screen. She did not take the phone from me. She only said, "Do not make yourself disappear and call it kindness." The words struck harder than Dale's laugh, harder than Marlene's post. I deleted the message one letter at a time. Ray cleared his throat. "What do you want us to do?" Emily folded the hearing notice and slid it into the brown folder. For once, the folder did not look like protection. It looked like weight. No names. She did not need them. The county was small enough to finish the accusation for her. Dalla left. Luis stayed. Ray stayed too, but the hesitation had already done its damage. A farm could survive rain, debt, bad hay, broken wire. Doubt was harder. By late afternoon, the doubt had spread faster than weather. The fuel company wanted a cashier's check. The vet wanted written confirmation. Mr. Dutton left a careful voicemail about my personal loan if there was any commingling with the Walker estate. Grant had not taken the farm. He had made everyone afraid to touch it. Emily and I ended up back at my kitchen table, with the brown folder open between us and too many phones face down beside it. She had not cried. That worried me. "I could ask Callahan to delay," she said. "The deadline passed. I could say the marriage was a mistake." My chair scraped back. She did not flinch this time. "I am not saying I want to," she said. "I am saying if the marriage is what lets him drag your debt into this." "No. You heard them. I heard scared people. I heard people believing him." "Yes." Her voice cracked. "What if they are still believing him tomorrow? Then tomorrow you tell the truth anyway." She pressed both hands over her face. A knock came at the back door. We both turned. Nora Bell stood on the porch in a gray coat, rain beating on her hair, the same white envelope held flat against her chest. I opened the door. She did not step in right away. "I told you there was another attachment," she said. "I should have brought it to Mr. Callahan the minute I saw it." Emily rose slowly. Nora's eyes moved to the brown folder on the table. "I was scared of losing my job," she said. Then Grant called the office and asked whether I had printed anything besides the letter of intent. That is when I knew fear was helping him. She held out the envelope. "Grant sent Prairie Ridge a revised draft before your father died. Not a letter of intent, a sales structure, price ranges, closing steps, a proposed way to move livestock before anyone could object." Emily's face changed. Nora's voice dropped. "And in the email above it, he wrote the sentence you need for tomorrow." She swallowed. He said, "Emily will sign whatever I put in front of her once David is gone." The kitchen went still because the story had finally found its blade. The emergency review was held in a county conference room that smelled like floor polish and old coffee. Not a courtroom. That made it worse. Courtrooms admitted they were built for judgment. This room had beige walls, a plastic water pitcher, and 12 chairs filled with people pretending this was only procedure. Mr. Callahan sat with the estate file open. Miss Reeves, the probate officer, sat at the head of the table. Mr. Dutton from the bank had come. So had Marlene, Ray Collins, Nora Bell, and 2 men from Prairie Ridge Development. Grant arrived last. He wore a navy suit and the same calm face he had used in the bank lobby, like everyone had been invited to watch him be reasonable. Emily walked in beside me, with the brown folder held at her side, not against her chest, not like a shield. I pulled out the chair beside mine. She shook her head once and took the chair across from Grant. Good. Miss Reeves began with forms, dates, and neutral words. Temporary authority, estate condition, marriage license, financial concern, operational continuity. Grant waited until she asked him to speak. I want to be clear, he said. I do not want to hurt my sister. I want to keep my father's estate from being steered by grief, pressure, and a man who may have every reason to need a lifeline. His eyes moved to me. My understanding is he carries significant personal farm debt. There it was. Clean. Careful. A knife washed before use. Emily's fingers moved on the folder. I spoke before she could. Yes. The table shifted. Grant blinked. Yes. I owe the bank money. Yes. My farm has had bad seasons. If you ask Mr. Dutton, he will tell you I am late enough to be uncomfortable and not late enough to be done. Mr. Dutton cleared his throat but did not correct me. Grant recovered. Then you admit pressure exists. No, I admit there is financial pressure. Those are not the same. I placed Callahan's affidavit on the table. I signed away any claim to Walker land, accounts, equipment, and estate funds before the marriage license was filed. If Emily sells tomorrow, I get nothing. If she keeps the farm, I get nothing. If my bank calls, her estate does not answer. Miss Reeves wrote something down. Grant leaned back. Paper can be arranged when 2 desperate people need it arranged. So can concern, I said. You proved that in the bank lobby. A small muscle moved in his cheek. Miss Reeves turned to Emily. Mrs. Harper, did Mr. Harper pressure you into marriage? No. Did he request payment? No. Did he ask for access to estate funds? No. Then why did you marry him? Grant gave a soft laugh. Yes. Please tell us the love story. Emily did not look at him. My father left a condition I did not know about until after his death, she said. My brother used a temporary authorization I signed while grieving to move the farm toward sale before I had a fair chance to respond. I married Jake because the condition required marriage by Friday, and because my father named him as someone who understood land before money. Grant spread his hands. That is rehearsed. Emily turned one page in the folder. No, this is rehearsed. She slid his email to Callahan across the table. You wrote that I lacked immediate marital protection. You asked whether temporary authority allowed discussions with buyers, brokers, and land use consultants before the deadline. That was prudent estate planning. She slid the Prairie Ridge letter of intent beside it. This is dated 3 weeks before Dad died. One Prairie Ridge man adjusted his tie. Non-binding, Grant said. Because responsible people explore options before the roof collapses. Preliminary, Emily answered. That is the word you used, because it sounds cleaner. Grant leaned forward. My father was sick. The operation was already strained. I explored options in case Sentiment could not pay taxes, payroll, or feed bills. Responsible adults do that. Emily opened Nora's envelope. Nora sat very still. Emily handed the next page to Miss Reeves. This is the revised sales structure Grant sent Prairie Ridge before my father died. Grant's chair creaked. That document is not authenticated. Nora spoke from the side of the room. I printed it from the chain Mr. Walker forwarded to Mr. Callahan's office by mistake. I should have turned it in immediately. I did not. That is on me. Grant turned on her. You had no right to keep that. Nora went pale but held her seat. You had no right to write it. Miss Reeves raised one hand. Mr. Walker. Grant sat back. Too fast. Emily read from the page. Emily will sign whatever I put in front of her once David is gone. No one moved. Marlene lowered her eyes. Ray stared straight at Grant. Grant searched for a cleaner version and failed. That was taken out of context, he said. What context makes that sentence protective? Emily asked. His mouth opened. Nothing came. Then he made his mistake. That draft was never supposed to leave my office. The words landed before he could pull them back. Miss Reeves stopped writing. Callahan looked up. Emily's hand stayed steady on the folder. You just called it a draft, she said. Grant's face changed. Not much. Enough. You told everyone there was no sale structure. Only preliminary conversations. I misspoke. No, Emily said. You spoke before you polished it. A hard little sound came from Ray's throat. Grant pointed at the authorization. She signed authority to me because she knew she could not handle the operation. I signed because I was scared, Emily said. And because you used Dad's funeral to make fear sound like responsibility. Her voice shook. She did not stop. I made that mistake. I gave you a door. But scared is not the same as incapable. The sentence changed the room more than any document had. Not because it was loud. Because it was hers. Grant's control cracked. You are 24, he snapped. You think a few invoices and a hired hand vote make you Dad? Emily flinched, but she stayed upright. I am not Dad, she said. I am the person he left the farm to. Miss Reeves turned to Ray. Do the workers recognize Mrs. Harper as daily operational lead? Ray took off his cap. Yes, ma'am. You hesitated yesterday. I did. That was my mistake. Marlene shifted in her chair. I also posted something I should not have. Emily did not thank her. Good. Some apologies were not owed immediate comfort. Miss Reeves reviewed the affidavit, the license, Grant's email, the letter of intent, and the sale structure. The room waited while paper made people live with what they had written. Finally, she capped her pen. The marriage satisfies the estate condition. The affidavit addresses the financial conflict allegation. The documents submitted today raised serious concern that Mr. Walker acted in bad faith before lawful control transferred. Grant stood. You cannot be serious. Sit down, Miss Reeves said. He did not. She continued. Operational control remains with Mrs. Harper, pending further review. Mr. Walker is instructed not to interfere with employees, accounts, locks, livestock, buyers, or land use discussions without written authorization. Grant stared at Emily. You will ruin it trying to prove you deserve it. She met him across the table. Maybe I will make mistakes, she said, but they will be mine, not the ones you signed for me. He grabbed his coat. Before he left, his eyes cut to me. This is not over. I stood then, not in front of Emily, not for her, for myself. You used my debt because you thought shame would make me quiet, I said. It almost did. He paused at the door. But I am not for sale either. Grant left without answering. The door closed behind him, soft and final. Emily did not reach for my hand. I did not reach for hers. The room was still full of people, and this was not a love scene. It was the first clean breath after a long lie. She held the brown folder against her side, then lowered it to the table. For once, she did not need it between her and the world. Grant did not disappear after the hearing. Men like Grant rarely do. He stopped walking through the Walker barns, but his truck still passed the county road twice that week. Prairie Ridge withdrew active interest until estate matters were resolved, which meant they would wait for a cleaner wound. Marlene took down her post after enough people had already read it. The farm kept moving anyway. Land did not wait for reputations to heal. Cattle needed feed. The south fence still sagged. Fuel came through after Callahan sent the review order to the supplier. Payroll cleared 2 days late, and Emily apologized to every worker by name because the checks had been late under her watch. Ray stayed. Louise stayed. Dale came back after 3 days and pretended he had only needed time to think. Emily did not punish him or thank him. She handed him a work list and said, "Start with the lower gate." I liked her more for that. A week after the hearing, I found her in the Walker office with the brown folder beside the ledger. The damp stain was gone, but one corner of her father's letter had dried with a permanent curl, like the paper still remembered the night she carried it through rain. Emily pressed it flat with her thumb. "It will not stay down," she said. "Some paper remembers weather." A truck slowed outside, and Emily's hand moved straight to the folder. The truck kept going. She noticed what her hand had done and folded her fingers in her lap. "I hate that," she said. "What?" "That I still listen for him." I leaned against the doorframe. "You stopped letting the sound decide what you do. That counts." She turned the brass key tag in her palm, the one with her father's cattle brand stamped into it. "Does it?" "Yes." She nodded, but the answer did not reach all the way into her. Healing came like fence work. One post, one wire, one sore hand at a time. My own bank did not forget me because Emily won the review. Mr. Dutton called the following Monday. Careful, not cruel. I drove into town with my hat on my knee and my pride sitting somewhere lower. We made a payment plan that hurt but did not kill me. When I came out, Emily was waiting by my truck with 2 coffees. I had not asked her to come. That was why it mattered. She handed me the cracked mug from my kitchen instead of a paper cup. She must have brought it wrapped in a towel on the passenger seat. You hate diner cups, she said. I never told you that. You wash them twice before throwing them away. I took the mug. The crack near the handle had darkened from years of coffee, but it still held. We sat on the tailgate and drank without talking about money for a while. Then she said, I am not going to fix your farm. I did not ask. I know. I am saying it because part of me wants to. It would be easier than waiting for you to let me stand close without handing me a bill. The coffee burned my tongue. I deserve that. I am bad at needing people, I said. Emily stared into her cup. I am bad at believing people stay without a document making them. That evening, she came back to my farmhouse with the brown folder under one arm and mud on her boots. Not soaked, not shaking, not asking for a husband by Friday. Just there. She set the folder on my kitchen table where it had left a wet mark the first night. Beside it, she placed the brass key tag, the affidavit, and her father's letter. Then she pulled out the same chair. This time, she did not sit until she asked, Is this still all right? The question hurt quietly. I wanted to tell her she did not have to ask, but that would have been too close to pretending fear leaves just because love arrives. So I answered what she had asked. Yes. She sat. I put 2 plates on the table. Beans again, because life did not become elegant just because people survived. Emily smiled for real. This is almost romantic. Almost is about my level. She laughed. After supper, we washed dishes side by side. Our shoulders touched once. Neither of us moved away fast, but neither of us turned it into something it was not ready to be. At the doorway to the hall, Emily paused. The farm is not the only thing asking now, she said. My hand stayed on the light switch. No, and I am not asking because I am scared. I know. She waited. So did I. Then I said, Ask me tomorrow. Her smile came slow. Tomorrow after breakfast? After chores. Of course. She walked to the spare room, not because she had to, but because some boundaries were worth honoring even after they stopped being walls. Outside, the 2 farms lay dark on either side of the fence line. Worn, imperfect, still standing. I still flinched when the bank called. Emily still stiffened when a black truck slowed on the road. Some people in town still believed the first version they had heard because changing their minds required admitting they had enjoyed the wrong story. But Emily had keys in her own pocket now. And when she spoke, men who once looked past her had learned to answer. As for me, I did not become a hero. I did not save her. She did not save me. We became witnesses. And sometimes, that is the beginning of love. Not the kind that erases the wound. The kind that stops letting the wound testify alone. Some people do not destroy you by shouting. They do it by writing a version of you that everyone else can believe. And sometimes, the person who changes your life is not the one who fixes everything. It is the one who finally says, No, that is not what happened. If someone has ever written a false version of your life and made other people believe it, tell me in the comments, did you stay silent? Or did you finally say, No, that is not what happened? And if you want more stories where the truth survives the first lie, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.